Welcome back to session 8 of the Satanic Media Agenda Exposed. This time we are dealing with Mr. Bruce Lee, the Kung Fu expert of would that be the 70s, 60s, 70s?
Mm-hmm.
I forget. I don't even know. It's just one of those topics, Michael, that it's just seems pretty far from my interests, but at the same time is very interesting, actually. I did see a few little snippets of Bruce Lee's movies growing up and had some friends watching it a little bit, but never really delved into it ever. So this is all very interesting and different, Michael.
Yeah, Brett, and it's also very difficult because there are so many myths, and the major problem actually is that we do not speak Cantonese Mandarin, so they do not speak Chinese, and we can't read Chinese. I think that the research in that field would be far more easy if we would have access to original sources like newspapers and books and claims and all the stuff, because there might also be some faults in translation and all that stuff.
Sure. Yeah, that's right.
What I came across is that we are just close to the 15th anniversary of the death of Bruce Lee, and therefore I have found so much interesting remarks that this is the last session which is only or solely on Bruce Lee, and then we will head on to a much more bigger picture. So therefore, let's get it on. There are many documentaries out there who are trying you to put to the official narrative, to the official path on allergic reaction, some medical treatments, issues, or drug abuse and all the stuff. That's very common for Bruce Lee. Usually it is everything in your will be thrown in your face that it's his fault. Yeah, so if it is allergic reaction, if it is an overdose, if it is heat stroke, yeah, be it as it is his fault. Yeah, so nobody is to blame for his death. When it's so obvious that neither Betty Ting Pei nor Raymond Chow did call an ambulance immediately. So it is a kind of suppressed help, which usually Linda Lee should have held these people liable, Brett.
Yeah, absolutely should have held them liable. Yeah.
Yeah, so but she did not. It was just the other way around. If I tell you that she was outbursting and said that if I'm not interested in the circumstances, why should you? Not quoting word by word, but you see that was the meaning of her outburst. Yeah, so she does not want to know. Everything has been ruled as a death by misadventure. So let's get it on. Documentary made from the respect and admiration to the legendary figure Bruce Lee, exposing mistruths and falsehood through critical thinking. Yeah, and then they come up with the things that they are just right in line with the common system, Wikipedia and the alike, who are just telling you that it was his own fault. He was overworked, he was exhausted, he did not sleep much. He had sweat glands removed, he died from extortion, he died from dehydration, he died from aspirin, meprobamate, cannabis, what else? Yeah, and also cocaine, and it's just his fault. But as they have not reacted in time, yeah, at least there's a partial guilt in Raymond Chow and especially in Betty Ting Pei. But we have to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is soon be enrolled, but now I'm just about this documentary we just saw yesterday evening. It's called Was Bruce Lee Legit? And they say that Bruce Lee was also the son of a actor, Li Hoi Chen, so he was born into a family of actors. And Bruce Lee was discovered in Hong Kong after he tried everything to get a movie and get his role as a lead man. And he then went to Hong Kong. but it was actually a trip to Hong Kong when a guy named David Low, the son of a movie director, Lo Wei, which is incorrectly pronounced here. The name of Lo Wei is written like this, Lo Wei, yeah, discovered him on a show doing his kung fu moves, and about his sidekick in the Green Hornet Kato series. So allegedly, rumor has it, the myth goes that the son of a movie director has then discovered Bruce Lee for the Chinese movie industry. Okay. And so also in the first movie he was been shown having sex with a woman, etc., etc. Yeah, and when the first movie has been made in Hong Kong, it was called The Big Boss. He was only also the sidekick, but then it turned out that he had that charisma and that fighting abilities that they said, okay, we exchanged the main actor from James Tien to Bruce Lee. And then when his film was shown, it was originally meant only for the Asian market, and it was shown in Hong Kong, and he was having the biggest box office, bigger box office than The Sound of Music, which was the best grossing movie at that time in 1971, I think, 71 it must be, The Big Boss, which was shot in Thailand. And then they have discovered that Bruce Lee was also capable of for the audience in foreign countries. And the first real breakthrough was in Lebanon, in Beirut, the capital city of Lebanon, which is very close to Israel. And there the public was furious, and then it was just showing around the so-called globe. And once again, also in that documentary, they'll tell you that he died about an idiosyncratic reaction to one tablet, sadly. So don't you dare to question that. Don't you dare to question the official narrative. Yeah, that's a common theme in all things happening outside. Yeah, if it is the moon landing, if it is 9/11, don't you dare to question the authority. So on July the 20th, 1973, while working on the script of Game of Death together with Raymond Chow and Betty Ting Pei, yeah, he died of an idiosyncratic reaction to one tablet. That documentary goes on in saying that Bruce Lee was the first man in Hong Kong history to rise and to be shown as a hero and not of a victim or a servant. Yeah, and he was very direct, and he did choreographic his own film. He was directing his film, and he acted as a producer. And that is the big difference to all the things happening before. Before, there was a separation between director and actors. The one said, okay, you got to do this, yeah, and the actor has to follow and to obey. But Bruce Lee wanted to create his own fight scenes, and they let him do this because they said, okay, that was very photogenic and he had a big charisma, and so that serves also our monetary purpose. And so that is what sets him apart, that he was not only an actor, he was not only a martial artist, but he was a director, a producer, and all the stuff. So he was a multi-talent, and he just wanted to have the entire control. Therefore, he was not only an actor and not only a director, but the next step was to form a production company called Concorde. And we have talked about that before, that he chose the name of Concorde for the Roman goddess Concorde and not of the supersonic plane Concorde, which I find very odd. So some actor says, okay, he's from San Francisco, I'm from San Francisco, and I started this movie. And now comes a very strange quote from Dr. Langford, which we have known from the last session. He said that Southern-born Chinese and Hong Kong Chinese have reported a high incidence of abnormalities of the blood vessels in the brain. I have never come across that information. I found it very interesting, and I passed them over to you so that you can start your own research on that regard. That was Dr. Langford. Yeah. So according to the official narrative, he was just at his lover's place benefiting pay and fell into a deep coma from which he never woke up. So, official case is death of brain swelling. And this documentary warns everybody. Nostalgia, that is what always interrupts critical thinking by sweetening memories like clouds of candy. Yeah, so they say that, oh yeah, that your memory does not serve you correct. Yeah, the old things, they are always better than they were at the time when they were happening. So that you just been misguided by your memory. Yeah, and so Bruce Lee got bigger in the imagination of man. Yeah. So they quote from Victor Hugo, facts get bigger in the imagination of men like rocks in the mist as they move away. Yeah, so that Bruce Lee has been seen as a much too important figure, and you see that they are claiming, of course, that's an idiosyncratic reaction to one tablet, and don't fall for any conspiracy theories. I said, I have to look it up. Who started that kind of a documentary, Brett? That documentary says it's easy to get carried away by fantasy, believing that Bruce Lee was killed by mysterious plot of the Chinese mafia. How do they know? I ask myself. Yeah. This documentary says it sounds like a book or a Hollywood script, but wake up, because this script, this is real life, which is sometimes gray and sad. Yeah. Bruce received threats from some of triads and certain sectors of the traditional Chinese community who did not like him teaching Kung Fu to Westerners. And that is the old argument. And that was an old argument. Yeah. However, beyond the heavy intimidation and simple litigation, that documentary says, yeah, the situation never escalated. That's what the documentary tells you. The situation never escalated. How do they know? How does a movie producer like this company knows that the situation never escalated when the official official biography from Matthew Polly and other people claim, yeah, that he had a problem with a triad when he was 18 years old and his parents sent him away to San Francisco. And so that documentary comes up that the situation never escalated when he had to go to the police. And we have known from the past that William Chung, his colleague from school, his father was a police officer, and he had to clear the entire affair because Bruce has violated and hurt and hit some guy of the triads. And then they have said, okay, this guy is such a troublemaker, and his parents decided to send him to San Francisco. And that was when he was 18 years old. And imagine that he lived another 14 years. And then he was a big star in Hong Kong. He returned to the place where his parents have sent him away, Brett. This documentary really proclaims that no police report certifies it that there was a problem with triads. And that is hilarious funny. This is comedy. Nor is there any tangible evidence of it, and neither the triad had the necessary power to hide the alleged murder of the most famous personage in the world at that time. Oh, really? Although our subconscious instinct tries to find a conspiratorial explanation... Oh, now the script is crashing, huh? Yeah, that there would be a deadly cocktail that not even the dragon would be able to withstand, and the problem may cause the swelling of the brain in Bruce Lee's leading to him and all this stuff. This documentary highly forbids you to think of a conspiracy theory. Yeah, because if you ask the private investigator or you ask some doctors, they tell you, okay, that was a swelling of his brain which caused his death. Yeah, Bruce Lee was killed by idiosyncratic reaction to one tablet. You see, That is the same sentence from another video been copied here into, so that if you hear that 1,000 of times, you believe it. Yeah, it's the same all over again. Oh, this is a threat to our democracy. To use common sense. Common sense tells you that it's awkward when a single tablet should create a idiosyncratic reaction in a 32-year-old male, when there's much more to it. Yeah, but they all agree to that idiosyncratic reaction because that's the best for everybody. Yeah, nobody asks questions. Linda Lee gets her money, or at least a smaller percentage of it, because the insurance companies, they refused to pay the entire amount because there was even no part of the fee was been paid at the time. Yeah. Yeah. So this is double here. And then I thought to myself, Brad, what's that kind of a company? And I looked it up, and that is Triangle Entertainment. And I said, oh yeah, well, that's very fitting.
A triangle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not only this. Yeah, entertainment
right.
means to enter you mentally, entertain you mentally. To spoil you. It's just entertainment. It's not about the truth. It's just entertainment. He died of an idiosyncratic reaction to one tablet. My. Yeah, and that is also the motto of that studio, created to create. Yeah. It's nothing to do with the creator God, I think. It has everything to do to lead you astray.
Create what, though?
Yeah. Yeah, create entertainment.
Yeah.
I will show you another case where you don't dare about thinking about a conspiracy. The name is Jimmy Hoffa. It's an American labor union leader who served as the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters from 1957 to 1971. He disappeared on July the 13th, 1975. It is generally accepted that he was murdered by the mafia, and in 1982 he was declared legally dead. Hoffa's legacy and the circumstances of his disappearance continued to stir debate. So, it is possible, even in the United States in the 20th century, that a man can disappear without the authorities having no clue in it. So, there are cases of involvement of criminal gangs. It is generally accepted. That does not mean that it has been proven. It is just accepted that the mafia did it. But it has not been proven. I'll show you. Hoffa was convicted in a second trial held in Chicago on July the 26, 1964, on one account of conspiracy and on 3 counts of mail and wire fraud for improper use of the pension funds, and sentenced to 5 years in prison. On December the 23rd, 1971, less than 5 years into his 13-year sentence, Hoffa was released from prison when United States President Richard Nixon commuted it to time served. Hoffa's plan to regain leadership of the union were met with opposition from several members of the mafia. Hoffa disappeared on July the 13th, 1975, after he had gone out to the meeting of Provenzano and Giacalone. The meeting was due to take place at the Marcus Red Fox restaurant. Yeah, and in the case of Bruce Lee...
That's the thing with this whole thing is that, you were trying to... I think what you were trying to say, Michael, is that, that he was going to meet with the movie director, Bruce Lee. And, and it took so long to, call for medical help. I mean, what's the excuse there? They don't give you any excuse.
No, up to this very day, you can't find any substantial proof in the case of Jimmy Hoffa as well. So they are just, it's usually been the opinion that he was been killed by the mafia, but he could have also been killed by other people. Yeah, you see that this is just German here, but you see I'm not going into this case, but it goes on and on and on. It's just like in the case of Bruce Lee. Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything. So what are triads anyway? The triads are a form of Chinese mafia involved with the heroin trade and later with money laundering and the methamphetamine and sex tourism industry of Thailand. The biggest triads are Sun Yi-on and 14K. Leaders are called dragon heads. Remember that Bruce Lee was called Little Dragon? History of the triads. 1700s, establishment of triads in Macau, Hong Kong and Taiwan. Strange, huh? Macau and Hong Kong. 3 harmony societies use the triangle emblem. Brett, can you remember that entertainment company also called Triangle? We just talked about the documentation. That's very interesting. So,
it's funny though, they took all the vowels out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's no vowels in triangle. You just have to like fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Created to create. That's their motto.
Yeah.
Created to create. Well, create what?
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Entertainment,
right?
yes.
As Michael pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the Satanic Media Agenda exposed, is essentially.
Hu Chin found Sun Yi-on triad, 1920s warlord area, with the triads and Green Gang thriving from opium trade in Shanghai. So it is about the big picture about opium trade. It's about money. You remember that Bruce Lee's father, Li Hoi Chen, was an opium addict? 1927 to 1949, Chinese Civil War, Autumn Harvest Uprising led by Mao Zedong. White Terror Massacre of Communists, 1930, Chiang Kai-shek, married to Sun Mei-ling, chairwoman, etc., leader of the Republic of China, and later on he had to go to Taiwan. 1937, war between China and Japan. Yeah, the big thing is here the opium trade. Yeah, so making money with drugs. Yeah, so all the drugs belong, or the money and the trade belong to the triads or to the Chinese mafia, if you would like to be more accustomed to that term. That means that they have their hand in money, what these drugs are about. And if then you find some alleged drug letters of Bruce Lee importing drugs from the United States, well, then you can just count 2 and 2 together. They own the drug business in Hong Kong. So, 1937, war between China and Japan. Remember, Bruce Lee had been born 1940 in San Francisco, and 3 months later his family returned to Hong Kong. 1943, Mao Zedong rules as the dictator of Communist China, officially the People's Republic of China, but everybody knows that it's communism. Modeled after the Soviet Union, the drug trade is ruled by the triads. There you got it. And you don't have to believe it. You just have to do your own research. 1945, the end of the Second World War, founding of 14K, which is another triad. 1970s, the time of Bruce Lee. Rise of Tai Yun-chang, founding of Ping Ong in Boston, ties to 14K. Which means, Brett, that there are ties from the Chinese triad to America, to the United States, in Boston at least. At 1977, Charles Hoing founds Wings Entertainment. This is a movie company. It's just a movie company. Remember this name here, Charles Hyung, okay? This is easy to remember, Charles Hyung, because he appears again in 1997. Charles Hyung, Sun Yi-on Triad family, wins Entertainment, China Star Entertainment Group launches the career of Jet Li. Anybody knows Jet Li? Lethal Weapon 4, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover. Jet Li, I think that everybody knows Jet Li. Everybody knows Jet Li, but Jet Li's manager was shot dead outside his office in Hong Kong in an underworld assassination. Connection here that his career had been launched in 1997 by the Triads, a certain Mr. Charles Hyung. I do not know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry. So, when Jet Li's manager was shot dead outside his office in Hong Kong in an underworld assassination. But you see, that Triangle Entertainment Corporation, Brad would of course advise me not to go into any conspiracy theories, because maybe...
Oh,
yeah?
That's right.
Police described a well-planned operation in which Hong Kong film producer Choi Chi-ming was gunned down by two men as he came out of a lift in 1992. Choi was a supposed member of the 40K How Triad group and had been convicted of drug trafficking in the 1970s. Oh, wasn't that the time when Bruce Lee was in Hong Kong, 1970s? So, and please compare this information now with the general information of the Triads that from 1997 now, Charles Hyung took over and launched a career of Jet Li. Yeah, when his own manager was shot dead in 1992. And this is just Jet Li. Yeah, we could go also into Jackie Chan. There's a similar story with Jackie Chan, but I'm not going into this because that is for a later session. Okay? And if you think that this is just, oh, that has nothing to do with Bruce Lee, okay, then we go into a bigger gear now. Yeah, so this is the Wikipedia entry of Betty Ting Pei. This is the one. Ting first met Bruce Lee at the original Hyatt Regency Hong Kong while he was with his wife Linda Emery and Raymond Chow, the owner of Golden Harvest. Betty Ting and Lee quickly became friends and they would later go on dates. On 20 July 1973, Ting received media attention when Lee died in an apartment at 67 Beacon Hill Road, Kowloon Tong. According to press reports, and now you got the entire story, that etc., etc. And now look at this just remark here. In 1976, Ting married Charles Hyung. And they had a daughter, Ken Hyung, in 1977. Ting and Hyung divorced in 1980, after which she would devote her time to Buddhism practices and help the local Buddhist community in Hong Kong. You know now who Charles Hyung is, don't you? Charles Hyung, Sun Yi-on, Triad Family, Wins Entertainment, China Star Entertainment Group launches the career of Jet Li. That is the same guy who had married Betty Ting Pei. And he is the son of a leader of a Triad group in Hong Kong. But don't you dare to suspect that there is a Triad involvement in the death of Bruce Lee. That is Charles Hyung. He married Betty Ting Pei. He married Betty Ting Pei in 1976, 3 years after the death of Bruce Lee. Hong is widely suspected of ties to one of Hong Kong's largest and most powerful organized crime groups, the Sun Yee-ong Triad. Hong's father, Hong Ching, founded the Sun Yee-ong in 1919. His father founded this Triad group. Charles is the 10th of the Sun Yee-ong's founders' 13 children. Hong Ching's eldest son, Hong Hwa-yim, was convicted in 1988 of being the Triad's boss, although his conviction in Hong Kong was overturned on a technicality. The Senate Subcommittee on Investigations also identified him as a Triad leader in a 1992 report on Asian organized crime. In the 1970s, Charles subsequently married Betty Ting, the actress who is remembered today primarily because of the mysterious death of Bruce Lee in her apartment. The marriage, however, did not last, and Charles later married Tiffany Chen in the early 1980s. And there's much, much more to it, and we go into this. Remember, before Bruce left Hong Kong at the age of 18 in 1959, he had unwittingly beaten up the low-life son of a high-ranking police officer, according to Richard Bustillo. It's been reported that Michael Chan Wei-man was the one who told Raymond Chow that Bruce was dead. It's been reported, once again, that Michael Chan Wei-man was the one who told Ray Chow that Bruce was dead. And Michael Chan Wei-man is a Hong Kong actor and martial artist, Chan was very well known for his various triad roles when in actuality he had been involved with triads in real life. In a media interview, he admitted to have been the number 2 in the 14K triad that dominated Vice in Tsim Sha Tsui before the handover of Hong Kong. And that is a picture of Michael Chan Wei Man together with Bruce Lee. Having worked as a police officer in the prison system, he came into contact with many underworld figures and joined the triads. Chan was expelled from the police force as a result of his links. And this is just the official story. So can you imagine that this man would know much more than he claims? Because he was the number 2 in the triad, and at the same time he was working as a police officer. And you tell me that there is a documentary out there, it's called From the Triangle Entertainment Systems, who are daring you to not go into the conspiracy nut trap or what else, because there is no problems with triad whatsoever, when it is in every biography that Bruce Lee has beaten up a triad low-life son even at the age of 18, and then we return to the same place in 1971. 12 years later, when he was absent in the United States, he returned in 1971 to Hong Kong. And then he was so-called befriended with Michael Chan Wei Man, the number 2 in the 40K triad, who also worked as a police officer. Yeah, so it is no wonder that the triads are very, very, very popular in Hong Kong. Yeah, and Michael Chan Wei Man also had made movies together with Jackie Chan. He was not only a martial arts actor, but also a martial arts fighter. Michael was a high-ranking member of the 40K triad, who are the main rival of the Sun Yi-on, whose chief deputy Lo Wei happened to be threatened by Bruce, as noted in a timeline that will be posted later. You know who Lo Wei is? Lo Wei is the guy, the first director of the first Bruce Lee movie, who allegedly had his son, David Lo, who has officially recognized Bruce Lee in Hong Kong. And you tell me that has nothing to do with the triads. When he was surrounded by triads, he has beaten up triads, and even the director of his first movie was a high-ranking triad, and he was together with triads. Everything else is now coming into fruition here. In that video, Rob and Jerry are looking at a kickboxing match by famous Hong Kong triad member Chan Wei Man, as known as Michael Chan. Not only he was a triad, he also apparently knew Bruce Lee. Let's look at what Chan does right and what does he wrong in this kickboxing match in 80s Hong Kong. In this match he fights against a Japanese kickboxer. To see more on Chan Wei Man, please go here. Michael Chan Wei Man talks secret societies. Yeah, Michael Chan Wei Man together with Unicorn Chan and Bruce Lee. Now this is him a little bit older, and he says it was the darkest period with the most dance clubs, nightclubs, drug trafficking, selling MDMA, ecstasy pills, gambling dens, that era. Joining a triad organization where a group of people would help you and then you see the money making is easy. Let me finish. Joining a triad organization is not a bad thing. The 60s and 70s era, police were gangsters and gangsters were police. And that quote is coming from somebody who was a police officer and a triad at the same time. So you could not differentiate between gangsters and police officers. That man was a police officer in Hong Kong and a so-called friend of Bruce Lee. And remember that this Sun Yi-on triad, his rivals, that was Charles Yeong, who 3 years later married Betty Ting Pei, where Bruce Lee has died. But it's also a big coincidence. It has nothing to do with just one pill, one idiosyncratic reaction of an allergic aspirin. It goes further, he says, that era was Hong Kong's secret societies undercover joining the police force. That's why in the 70s, 80s and 90s there were so many police officers who were also triads. Yeah. In 2 words, triad organization is only used by the Hong Kong government. It's called secret society. Yeah, that's where secret comes from. Huh? It's not for the open public. Yeah, don't you dare question about the authority. Don't you dare question the idiosyncratic reaction to one pill. Secret societies are patriotic. Go to Tsim Sha Tsui, that's the urban area of southern Kowloon. That was Chan Wei Man's, so my territory. And he was a real fighter, as you have seen in the ring. Yeah. Anybody, he says, who wanted to open a nightclub or whatever business in Tsim Sha Tsui, so his district, all you needed was my consent. Because when I collected your protection fee, the police get a cut too. I collect the fees and then I have to pay those plainclothes officers, right? Nightclubs and those kinds of businesses are considered controlled. The entertainment business, those kind, we call it Wong, like the color yellow. So that means that the triads, at least Michael Chan Wei Man, claims that the Hong Kong entertainment business is controlled. And what did we had learned before? That the manager of Jet Li was a triad. He had been killed in 1992, and Charles Young later launches the career of Jet Li, because Charles Young, as the Sun Yi-on triad family, wins entertainment. China Star Entertainment Group, they are controlling the actors, which is quite logical. And there comes a Bruce Lee and says, no, I want to be an actor, I want to be a producer, I want to be director, I have to create my own company and all the stuff. And what do you think is the reaction of the triads when Michael Chan Wei Man puts out here in that interview that he says that nightclubs and that kind of businesses are controlled, the entertainment business is controlled. And there comes an actor from the United States who had beaten up a triad at the age of 18. He comes back after 12, 13 years and claims to have no problems with them and don't want to be affiliated, and just goes into an environment when he is serving under a director who is a triad himself, flew away, and then gets out, the rumor gets out that it has something to do with triads, and every documentary forbids you to go into the detail. And now you got here just one interview. There will be more to come. That all the industry is controlled. It's the same as in the United States, where a certain group of people, they control Hollywood, and we will go into this as well. So he says the entertainment business, yeah, it's controlled. Back then, dance clubs were everywhere, drugs everywhere, prostitution everywhere. Get up and go eat lunch, finish lunch, and then it's evening. I go collect fees here, there, and there. So protection money. It's called Kimberley Road in Tsim Sha Tsui, where the Miramar Hotel is. Look what I found. The end came of July the 20th, 1973. According to the story that appeared in the official inquest and was later parroted in Linda Lee biography of her husband, Bruce Lee went on the last afternoon of his life to the apartment of a Taiwanese sex star, Betty Ting Pei, to have a meeting with her and Raymond Chow about Game of Death, in which Betty was to play a part. During the course of the meeting, Lee developed a severe headache, which caused him to retire to Betty's bed. There he was left by Raymond Chow, who arranged to meet with Lee later in the evening for supper at the Miramar Hotel, with another actor being considered for a part in the film, George Lazenby. Repeating the quote of Michael Chan Wei Man, 14K Triad number 2. It's called Kimberley Road in Tsim Sha Tsui, where the Miramar Hotel is. Don't you underestimate these people. That's why that street, the people in the area pretty much called it Chan Wei Man's Street, so his street. So that means that the hotel where they wanted to meet Betty Ting Pei, Bruce Lee, George Lazenby, Raymond Chow, the Miramar Hotel was in Chan Wei-man's street. So don't tell me that he does not know everything which took place that day. All my guys are hanging out along the entire street. Can't betray your friends. These are called commandments, secret society commandments. Yeah, so these people, these triads are controlling also the street. Make money is first priority. Yeah. Brett, can you recall by memory whose priority money also was in the first place?
Bruce Lee.
Yeah, Bruce Lee. I will have in my possession $10 million. Till the end of 1980, I will have in my possession $10 million. Bruce Lee signed 1969 before he went to go to Hong Kong. And everybody knows that in Hong Kong it's just money. Make money is first priority. In my era, it was about righteousness. Making money was secondary. Question: who burned this Porsche? Hong Kong Kung Fu star finds car in ruins as police suspects. Michael Chan Wei-man's luxury vehicle was parked outdoors in a New Territories village. Traces of fire accelerant were found at the scene, prompting police to investigate. A Porsche owned by veteran Kung Fu star Michael Chan Wei-man, remember, 14-cane triad, was burned to its frame in an arson attack in an outdoor car park in Hong Kong village in the early hours of Thursday. And you think that is a coincidence. Yeah, maybe it's insurance fraud, but apart from that, you see, that's just Hong Kong, huh? Don't question, huh? He says, oh yeah, Bruce Lee was great, but it was only his kicks, Bruce Lee's kicks, but Chan Wei-man's fist. Yeah, so he said that he was a better boxer than Bruce Lee in that regard. Yeah, Bruce Lee's kicks, Chan Wei-man's fist. But who would win in a fight if we really fight each other? That was the question, because he was a real fighter. Yeah. We will have to go for a real fight to find out. Yeah. He said Bruce Lee is 4 years older than me. He claims he was born in 46, that Bruce would make Bruce Lee 6 years older than him. Michael Chan Wei-man says in 1972 he was the Southeast Asian Kung Fu fighting champion. And that there was a rumor that Bruce Lee had been murdered by triads in Hong Kong. There is some Kung Fu star who says he is the best, and there is some triad fighter who says that, yeah, I am the Kung Fu fighting champion 1972. Guess what? Is there a kind of competition? Is it true, he has been asked, that Bruce was murdered by the triads in Hong Kong? And he says, c'est impossible, it's impossible. He said, no secret societies dare to provoke Bruce Lee to a fight at the time. I said, oh yeah, that I needed that insert here, to a fight at the time. Yeah, no secret society, he says, dare to provoke Bruce Lee to a fight at the time. Yeah, his death was probably due to his high intense training. Or probably was his hypersensitivity to the ingredients found in the medicine he took. Does that sound familiar, Brett?
Same answer as everyone else.
It's just by memory, you see that. And you got the answer. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, suddenly it's very hard to say. Yeah, anyone can die anytime. Remember, the hotel there where he wanted to meet was his district. It was Michael Chan Wei-man's street, the Miramar Hotel, where supposedly George Lazenby, 007 actor, and Raymond Chow were waiting officially for Bruce. So, what does that mean? That does mean that Raymond Chow waited in Michael Chan Wei-man's Triad Street. That's what it means. Okay. And there's a rumor that Michael Chan Wei-man told Raymond Chow that Bruce's death. Yeah, well, you have to do your own research on that. How can he know? The ingredients found in the painkillers or others Bruce used to experience unexpected muscle cramps like this. So everybody got his special story. Yeah, Betty comes up with heart problems. He comes up with muscle cramps. Yeah, my body is small, but I will train myself to have greater strength than the people who are a lot bigger than me. Yeah, if that is not ego thing, then I do not know what he's talking about. He's just talking about that he's the Kung Fu champion 1972, that he's a lot stronger than people who are bigger than him. Maybe it's the medicine he took, he says about Bruce Lee. Yeah, or probably was his hypersensitivity to, and then I have stopped that interview because you see that watching that interview and doing all that stuff, it does not only require much time, but you see that, you know, that when he's a triad and he was a police officer, he was running that street, and in the street was that Miramar Hotel where officially Raymond Chow waited for Bruce Lee to arrive, and there is rumor that he told Raymond Chow that Bruce is dead. Yeah, you see that, how can he know? Yeah, because he has his guys and his people all over the place. Yeah, and the comment is, right, a triad boss knows so much about Bruce medicine, this is how you set up a death without being convicted because you have something to point the blame to. It's the perfect scapegoat. Many deaths involving celebrities are much like this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he said no one dares to challenge Bruce Lee to a fight, but he didn't say by any other means. Yeah, and it's no secret society dare to provoke Bruce. Yeah, why did he had that problem with the triad at the age of 18? Yeah, there was a reported problem years before, Brad.
Yeah, it's so funny, that comment.
Yeah.
No secret society would dare to provoke Bruce, unquote.
Mm-hmm,
if any secret society wanted someone dead, they would just kill them, not provoke them. Yeah, exactly.
And you see in the case of Jet Li that there is a manager belonging to the triad and he's been killed, and then another triad takes over and launches a career. Without the triads, you can see it as a guarantee, I think, in my research. Without the triads, you don't get any career in Hong Kong. And same goes for other countries where other organizations are dominating the game. It's all about money, of course. Imagine Enter the Dragon, I think it was costed $600,000 or $800,000 and it made $200 million in profit. Now that's a return on investment. Yeah. Triads will not challenge someone to a one-on-one fight like in the movies. They just disappear them in one way or another. His explanation is misdirection, which makes me think it is a secret society that ended Lee and made it look a certain way. Sure, when you are running the police at the time, it's very easy to get rid of evidence and to manipulate doctors and all the stuff. It's so easy, actually. That's Michael Chan Wei-man. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, so he's a real fighter. Born in Hong Kong in 1946. Having won the Southeast Asian Kung Fu Fighting Championship in 1972, he also accrued 16 boxing kickbox wins to his professional career. Imagine, if somebody would challenge Bruce Lee, I think he would be of the top contenders.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because it's much about pride in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Or losing face. So also it could be that there are secret fights happening. Yeah, Michael Chan Wei-man. Prior to his fighting and film career, Chan became a member of a triad gang sometime in his younger years. This element of criminality became a stigma that contributed to the man's popularity in the ensuing years. When he was 18, he took a job opportunity in a totally opposite direction by becoming a police officer. So 18 plus 1946 would be 1964. How unusual that a young man who lived and breathed fighting in the streets would want to become a lawman. Possibly Chen wanted to see what the other side was like. That lasted for 2 years till his background as a gangster led to his dismissal. So he was in the Hong Kong police from 64 to 66. With an already heavy reputation as a street fighter, martial arts ability in spades, and one hell of a skull, Chan was a natural for a big screen domination. Most martial artists who got into movies got a few bit parts of supporting roles before diving in as a lead. Not Chan. He started out with meaty roles from the get-go. The insert photo at left is of such a production. The Female Fugitive, 1975. Early in his career, he played a fair number of good guys, but ultimately made villain roles his raison d'être. With 1976 Jumping Ash, Chan made an imprint on Asian audiences as a cold-blooded killer. These types of roles suited his intimidated looks, and he played quite a few psychos throughout his career in films like The Mad Cold-Blooded Murder and Profile in Anger, to name two. He possessed an immense amount of versatility that he never got enough credit for. Yeah, so here, these are just movies here. The Bravest Fist and all this stuff. During this period and beyond, Chan resided predominantly in the independent film arena. He appeared in occasional big studios productions for both Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest. That's the company of Raymond Chow. But seemed most comfortable freelancing. He worked for most all of the major directors and even counted directing among his own list of credits, as well as producer and action designers. In addition, Chan Wei-man was a martial arts instructor in Hong Kong. And then you can see that somebody who was sometimes in the police, he was a high-ranking triad member, he was the Southeast Asian Kung Fu champion, and then there comes a guy from America and says, "I'm the best, I'm Bruce Lee. I'm doing movies here, and I take orders from no one." Great, huh? Yeah, that's one of the best pictures I could get. Regarding Bruce Lee, Chan Wei-man was a childhood friend of the Little Dragon. Neither man officially trained together or even did a movie together, but both were close since their school days and they had fighting in common. In later years, Chan tried to mentor Bruce's son Brandon Lee. The troubled actor wasn't all that enthused about following in his father's footsteps or even attempting to replicate the famous patriarch's success, but back in the 1970s, movie producers had no qualms about wringing the last dollar out of the deceased dragon. Almost immediately after Bruce Lee died, there was a slew of Bruce Lee imitators movies that flooded the marketplace. Some even came from Golden Harvest, the very studio that was saved from bankruptcy by Bruce's box office kung fu. Looking at Chan's physique, it is a remarkable assimilation of Bruce's body. Both men were of slight build, but were toned and ripped in a way you didn't see very often. Also, that guy is heavily tattooed. Nowadays very common in Europe, but it was usually also a sign of belonging to a certain trade, like the Japanese Yakuza and the triad gangs in Hong Kong and China and so on. So that guy is tattooed all over the back also. What I'd like to point out is that there was some competition to Bruce Lee in Hong Kong, even by so-called friends. Yeah, this man is a real triad with Heng brothers. Yeah, Hyung is Charles Hyung. That's the husband of Betty Ting Pei, the later husband. Yeah, Hyung married his first wife, Betty Ting Pei, and they have a daughter. In December, Hong and his son applied for permanent residence in Taiwan. Both applications were denied on the basis of danger of threatening national interest, public safety and public order, or engaging in terrorist activities. The Liberty Times stated that Hyung had a criminal record in Taiwan and had been denied entry into Taiwan several times. And Betty Ting came from Taiwan. My. What coincidences. You see, these triads, they have 36 oaths of the society. 36.
What?
They have oath and all the stuff in a secret society.
1 + 2 + 3 + 4, all the way to 36. You add that all up, what do you get?
Yeah, 666. Yes.
Yeah.
36 oaths of the society. Yeah, it gets worse. It gets even worse there. I can tell you.
Totally Antichrist. Yeah.
It gets even worse. here. Yeah, I will.
Sure.
I will show you something. Yeah, look at that picture here that I found. Triad Societies in Hong Kong by W.P. Morgan. Look at the hand gesture that he's flashing.
Oh, yeah, devil's horns. Oh.
The devil's horns. Yes, sure. Try it in Hong Kong.
Only they use the middle finger.
Yeah, but nevertheless, you see, they have a secret society. They don't, and it's very interesting when that guy here is displaying the book also with the Manu Cornuta, with Devil's Horn. Oh well, doesn't get much better than this, huh?
And they have different shoes on too. Did you see that?
Yeah, I see this. Yes.
Sounds like Freemason rituals.
Yeah, it's close to this. Yes, it's close to this.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
So that is the content of that book. The Triad Traditional History, Triad Lodge, like a Freemason lodge, Second Lodge, and all the alike. This is a quote I found. I think it is from Tom Bleecker. To begin with, it was well known that Bruce was upset over Raymond Chow's having made distribution deals without first discussing it with him. Second, and far worse, was the problem that Concord, so his production company from Bruce Lee and Raymond Chow, had reported to the press that the film From the Way of the Dragon in Rome was a smash hit, and yet the company's cash revenues didn't equate with its reported box office receipts. If there is any substance to the notion of Triad involvement in The Way of the Dragon, the Triad kingpins would have wanted an explanation of what surely would have appeared to be two sets of books. Coincidentally, it was around this time that Bruce's brother Peter began making public statements about Bruce growing suspicious that Raymond had not been given him fair box office accounting of The Way of the Dragon. In any event, one could surmise that with Bruce's plans to return to the United States, any problem concerning the Triads, if there indeed was one, was being dumped solely in Raymond's lap.
Was in very, very hot water.
Yeah.
Very, very hot water.
Yeah, and
Not a clue.
And from the beginning, you see, from the beginning, he had that problem with Triads, that even his teacher was submitting. Brother Henry, from his school, says, I had ways of controlling Bruce and his hyperactive problems. When he would come to school in the morning, I would say, Bruce, please open up all the windows. Please, Bruce, would you clean all the blackboards? Brother Henry told of a scare that Bruce got himself into with the Triads. The mafia-like criminal element in Hong Kong and most other Chinese communities in the world is called the Triads, or their more formal name, Three Harmonies Association. It's been estimated there are over 100,000 members of the secret society in Hong Kong. I found a very interesting movie. At the time of the broadcast, Gwyneth Ho is in jail under the new security law in Hong Kong. Her attacker has never been prosecuted. Yeah, Triads, it's that video here in 30 minutes long. So that is the movie. Hong Kong's organized crime.
When you get up in the morning and you go down to a tea restaurant and you get on the ride in the minibus, in this process there will be two private businesses involved. Even you can't see them, but they are part of your life.
The police force were under fire for their delayed response after a suspected gang indiscriminately attacked commuters in attacks at Yuan Long MTR station on Sunday.
當時場面實在太混亂咯，佢好似睇緊死亡 VR。
Masked and armed with metal poles and wooden sticks, the men beat people.
嗱，現場睇嘅話係冇見到任何警察嘅。
So what you are seeing is a bunch of huge amount of people also everybody in white shirts who are just beating up people. Yeah, also demonstrating for their freedom. Yeah, strikes suspected to be supported by the Hong Kong government. And that's a very interesting movie. So the reporter who did report about these incidents, she's in jail. And not the people who have attacked her. Yeah, Hong Kong was returned to China in 1997, not 1996 as I supposed, but so this is all a controlled environment. And we know from Michael Chan Wei-man that he said that, police and trials, this is interchangeable. The policemen were the trials and the trials were the policemen, so it's all interchangeable. And that poor lady officially is in jail. And she's a reporter, and this is just that she claims that the government is using these trials to control the masses. And all these harassment, all this violation of the trials, it had not been persecuted in the courts. Yeah, they got away with that. Strike suspected to be supported by the government. We're speaking of Hong Kong here. Speaking of Hong Kong, there's a long history of state officials allegedly using hired thugs to press their agenda in mainland China. That means that government is using thugs or organized crime for the purpose of their agenda. For many people, the only way to survive is to join the trial society. Yeah? A self-protection group providing welfare to the migrants. Yeah? In the beginning, it was mostly students who wanted to join the trials, and you see they have all their flashy signs and all their secret society stuff, huh? Triad members turn day and night around, and that's the same what I meant with the triads were then the police, and the police were the triads. And that documentary says that here triad members turn day and night around, that they are active in the night. Yeah, you see they have this dragon symbol, or one of them here has this dragon symbol here on the back, and that's also the tattooed back that Michael Chan Wei-man displayed. So they cannot make money. Naturally, they will give up on that. I do not know what that is here. It's all about money. They would have their own entertainment businesses or movie businesses. Come on, if that is not related to Bruce Lee, then I do not know what is. And now look at this sign, please. That's the same thing that Michael Chan Wei-man tells you in that interview. The interaction between police and triads with their laurels and a 5-pointed star, which is the emblem of Hong Kong. Hong Kong police. Yeah? The harm cannot be reversed. All we can hope is for justice. Yeah, so as the purpose of the trial society is profit making. Yeah, and they're flashing that sign up here, 721, which is the 21st of July. It's very interesting because Bruce Lee died on the evening of the 20th of July. Yeah, and these protests were made in the 21st. From that book of Tom Bleecker, the second husband of Linda Lee, The Coroner's Inquest. A quote of Adolf Hitler: "The great masses of people will more easily fall victim to a big lie than to a small one." The summer of 1973 was perhaps the worst time in history to turn up mysteriously dead in Hong Kong, especially if one had a long list of influential enemies. In the early 1970s, when corruption was at its peak in the Hong Kong government, it was estimated that 35% of all Chinese policemen were triad members. It was around this time that British police commander Peter Godber fled to England to avoid an investigation into how he accumulated $880 in a Swiss bank account when his policeman's salary had paid him only $180,000 over 20 years. Embarrassed by the unearthing of Commander Godbe as Hong Kong's chief law enforcement officer, the British, on direct orders from London, formally began to investigate police corruption. Soon it was discovered that 5 key Chinese staff sergeants inside the Triad Bureau, which was then the police department directly responsible for investigating and prosecuting triad crimes, were themselves triad members. The ringleader of the group was Sergeant Louis Locke, a highly decorated officer with an excellent arrest history. Junior policemen referred to him as Tai Lo, the Chinese equivalent of the mafia's godfather. Louis Locke and his 4 underworld associates were on triad payrolls, receiving a percentage of the gambling, vice and drug operations to which they turned a blind eye. The rampant payoffs amounted to hundreds of millions of dollars. Louis Locke is called the $600 million man, the estimated size of his illegal fortune. He is one of 40 ex-Hong Kong police millionaires living today in Taiwan. On September the 17th, 1973, the formal inquest into the death of Bruce Lee opened at Tsuen Wan, with witness testimony being given over the next 4 days. Throngs of Chinese eager to hear Betty Ting's testimony packed the spectators' gallery and overflowed down the courthouse steps. In an effort to suppress the ancient crowds, police erected steel barriers while inside Coroner Egbert Tang was busy compiling what he prayed would be a complete and accurate accounting of Bruce Lee's final hours. Until now, the colony's largest running sideshow had been an inquiry into the alleged suicide of Inspector John McLennan, who, according to official police reports, shot himself in the chest 5 times. I would like to close on that verse.
No man can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will not hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Very well, Michael. You can't.
It's all about money.
In this world, in this
Yeah.
life, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you have to serve the hierarchy in order to achieve that. And that's a one-way ticket to hell, isn't it?
Yeah, you see, it's the sad thing is that these people are just only making it in this world, but we really have to feel sorry for these people who are just following all this luxury lifestyle. Yeah, in the end, it won't take you anywhere. You're just getting older, and then you look back to your life and I said, what did I do? I just had party and drugs and stuff, but
that's true. That's true. Is when you serve the mammon, then you're clearly just serving an illusion. You're making movies and yeah, it's all false. None of it's true. It's all fiction.
Where is your heart? For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And I think that the treasure of Bruce Lee lies solely in the martial arts. Yeah, but
well, what that leads to is essentially, what I call the greatest of all quote unquote human arts, which is the art of deception. We've been deceived by this mammon. Do you want to continue being deceived? Then I guess that's your master then, huh?
Bruce Lee would be 83 this year. You see the bigger picture, how everybody is fooling us into believing, oh yeah, that was just an idiosyncratic reaction to one pill of Equigesic. Yeah, and even they were flowing in Dr. Ronald Thayer from who have been in charge from Scotland Yard and all the stuff. So high authority, which says I am the authority here. I say what's truth. Yeah, but
there you go. It's that admission that fella made. I forget the name of the guy. Michael, forgive me for that. The fella that was the fighter who
Michael Chan Wei-man, yeah.
Yeah, the equivalent to Bruce Lee. Wasn't as successful, but very, very much grassroots fighter and actor who admitted to being part of the secret societies. He admitted it.
And proud of it.
Proud of
it, yes.
So what does that make Bruce Lee? Was Bruce Lee involved in the secret societies? He never admitted it, but he probably was. That's my assumption.
Yeah, I will lead you to many closed doors, and we will open many closed doors, but we cannot open every closed door because I can give you also the reason. I happened to get in touch with Tom Bleeker in person, and he said that there will never be a new examination in the case because Hong Kong has been taken over by mainland China in 1997, and so therefore there is no Hong Kong office of police from the old days anymore, and nobody would touch that subject. The case is closed forever.
That's something.
And
yes, that's something.
And yeah, and so that was the best time in 1973 to get away of somebody when the trials have took over the police of Hong Kong. Yeah, so therefore you know that there were no clean investigation going on. Yeah, that's the thing that you have to realize. Yeah, Bruce Lee would have been much more safer in the United States than in Hong Kong at that time. Peter Fitzroy Godber was the chief superintendent of the Royal Hong Kong Police Force, serving, etc., embroiled in a bribery scandal shortly before his retirement in 1973. He fled to the United Kingdom. Yeah, he had the equivalent of 4.4 million Hong Kong dollars, approximately 865,000 US dollars in 1973, equivalent to 5.7 million US dollars in 2022. It's all about money. It's all about mammon. And this man is still alive. 4 years in prison and has made 1 million almost in 1973. So you think that the police reports, investigations, the detectives, court members and doctors, they are all believable? I think the only thing which sure is that Bruce Lee never made another movie. But apart from that, you can ask any question. You can question anything. We do not know anything. You can't rely on a coroner, you can't rely on a doctor, on a physician, you can't rely on a policeman, you can't rely, in this world, you can't rely on anything. In the end, it is absolutely futile to go into everything except the Bible, because only there is the truth. Everything else is deception. And I'm just looking here to show you and spending your precious time to see through the deception, that after you have seen all the deception which I would like to present to you, we would never have to touch any subject of that matter again, because it's all the same. I'm just doing it that you see the connections between China and America, and that you see the connection between Bruce Lee and Hollywood, that you see the connection in the entire world, what was been planned and how the agenda is running and who's involved in that. And from there on, we are talking about 1973, 50 years ago. Yeah, you can do your own research and you can have your own assumptions of what's going on in the world today, and that the events who are happening in China today have everything to do with the United States and Europe, because you can't look at them separately. You can't. They are all interconnected. We are living in the digital age now. It's not so that in China they are doing their stuff and they are enemy with another. This is all just a big stage. As Shakespeare, who has never existed, once said so famously, the whole world is a stage. And these are all actors. And one is paid more, the other is paid less. And some of them, Brett, pay with their lives.
That's true. That's true. And that's the problem here is they don't, or, you know, they fail to see that biblical truth. And that's the thing, Michael. That's what makes us special in the sense people that will find our channel and actually listen to what we say and study the things that we study will find that it's the gospel is the important message. It's what the Bible has laid out for us. That those are the lessons that are not easy to learn, by the way. They're very difficult. They're very painful. But really, they're the most fulfilling because it's a path of redemption. That means that Christ can redeem us. Not only in this life, but in the life to come, Michael. That's our hope. That's our hope. So I think that's sufficient for the session today, Michael. But yeah, let's get back to that verse you wanted to close with. Matthew, was it right there? Yeah. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. I think that wraps it up, right, Michael?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thanks for having me, and
hope to see you then. And hope you can stay with us and stick to the grindstone of trying to absorb all of this information, because it's a very, very deep amount of information, but it definitely does lead to the enemy. The Antichrist spirit is alive and well. And just hope and pray that we can find those lost souls out there that might be able to recognize that, yeah, God does have a way out. It doesn't mean that we're damned. We're going to go to eternal hellfire just because we're not in the hierarchy. It's if we serve the hierarchy and we serve the mammon that we're in trouble. So God does bring us to repentance, and he is graceful, and he does have mercy. And that's our hope as well, that God will be merciful with us. I hope to see you next time. God bless. Maranatha.